PREAM Radio Season 2, Episode 2. So, PREAM Radio is K City's finest radio, the first ever Discord based K pop talk. So, through PREAM Radio, we'd like to be the pioneering platform for the Discord K pop community to be able to talk about what's happening in K pop in a format that we believe has never been ever done before. And so, just to be clear, all opinions and views are our own. So, no harm intended for the respective artists, management, companies, and the beloved K pop fans in here. And if you haven't yet, we have official Twitter and Instagram accounts, and it's all at KCT K-pop. And our YouTube channel is called K City, where we upload all the episodes of Free Mario afterwards. So I think we're gonna get right into it. And I think, before we begin, I think it's very safe to say that K-pop has taken the world by storm for sure, and especially the past few years. Everyone in the world, unless they've been living under a rock or on Mars, has probably heard about K-pop. So, like it or not, it's here to stay. So it's, as you know, it's a huge industry. You have gigantic companies out there like Big Hit or Hype now, SM, YG, JYP, and they saw the revenue and operating profits soar last year amid COVID-19, for sure. And their combined revenue in 2020 alone has estimated to be around 530 million US dollars. So that's 110% increase from previous years. So it's a big investment opportunity. It is huge, and it is getting more and more popular by the day. So for today's episode, we have a special one, for sure. So as you know, we have a special guest with us, and this special guest work is heavily revolves around influencing others. So yes, you may know her as a YouTuber, specifically a K-pop content creator on YouTube. So let's give a round of applause. Let's welcome. And so I think, you know, instead of me introducing her, I think I will let her introduce herself. So uh, love to have you introduce yourself by your name, where you come from, and yeah, introduce your channel and what the channel is about and what type of content you upload. So take it away, Bree.
Hi everyone. So first of all, I'm so happy to be here and chat with you guys. So my name's Bree. You might know me by my channel name, which is Bree Shijini. I'm actually from the United States. I was born in New Jersey, but now I live in Virginia near DC. So as far as my channel, I kind of do some of everything. Everything's based on like multi-fandom K-pop, but I do video essays, I do commentary on trending topics. I also kind of do like funny edits sometimes. A lot of you might have seen my edit on Ollie London and joining NCT Hollywood. I did not expect that to blow up like it did, but yeah, so I kind of do some of everything as far as K-pop content. I used to do reactions, but I kind of got away from that now. And sometimes I do series. Like right now, I'm doing a series on Girls Planet 999. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. But yeah, so if you don't know me, definitely check out my channel and nice to meet all of you.
Nice. We're so happy to have you here for sure. And it looks like you have a wide diversity of different types of content, right? That you release. And so I think before we get into kind of all that, we'd love to dive more into the origin story, right? So you just introduce yourself, but then what is the kind of origin story? Like, how did you even get into K-pop in the first place? I'm sure everyone's just curious on how that happened.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was growing up, like in middle school, high school, I already listened to some J-pop just because I was into anime and some Japanese RPGs, stuff like that. But one day, I think I was in like, I think I had just started high school and I went to my best friend's house at the time. And we were just like watching stuff on YouTube, and she introduced me to a few K-pop music videos. I think the first one was Ring Ding Dong by Shiny.
Yes, they have taste. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a second gen. Is Shiny considered second or third gen? I just
They're
know
pretty
that
much second. Yeah, they're pretty much second.
yeah, I feel like that was kind of like a second gen gateway for a lot of people. And then she showed me like Replay. and a few other groups. I think she showed me TVXQ. So after that, I started getting into K-pop more. I started following Shiny, 21 and Big Bang, and also SNSD, the Queens. Like we stand.
Facts, facts.
But yeah, so that's kind of where it started. I was like a casual fan at the time. But I would say around third gen is when I started getting like more into K-pop and actually following the artists and the content and not just listening to the music.
Nice, nice, nice. So I guess, what was the turning point for, I guess, third gen in general? Were there any particular groups or moments that led you to, oh, I would like to be more invested in this genre?
To be honest, it was actually BTS. It's the same friend that I mentioned before. She showed me BTS. At that time, I was in college, and she showed me No More Dream, and she also showed me, I don't know like what show this was. I don't know if you guys remember this, but OG Armies, you might. There was a BTS performance where they sang Tomorrow and they were outside somewhere. I don't know if anyone's seen that video, but I really liked that performance, so I started getting into BTS, and I think as I started getting into BTS, that's kind of when I really just fell down a rabbit hole and I started getting into other artists as well.
Nice, nice, nice. So I guess I mean, the rabbit hole is something that's very strong in K-pop, I'm
Definitely.
sure you know in particular. And then I think a lot of people already know from kind of your intro and your YouTube channel that you brand yourself as, well, a huge NCT fan, right? And so yeah, curious about your bias, and then also just you know why you call yourself that.
Sure. So the funny thing is I remember like seeing NCT when they debuted, but for some reason I just never got into them, but I started really getting into them around like 2019 because I have mutual friends that really like them and they kind of just showed me their music. And for some reason, I just really connected with their sound. I think NCT just really has a very SM sound, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people call it noise music, but I like the noise. So I
I can tell.
yeah, I like noise. I like noise. And I thought that their vocalists, like not even just NCT 127, but even in Dream and also Wavy, I thought that they had really strong vocalists. So I just really connected with their music. And I also thought that their concept was really interesting. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I like the whole expanding members thing. So yeah, I just started like really getting into their music, following their content. And yeah, so my bias, I actually have two biases. I'm sure you can tell who my one of my biases is by my profile picture, Taeyong. But my other bias is 10, but really all the members are great.
Nice, nice, of course. And yeah, no, I think that's a great just story of getting into and really being invested in a group. And it's funny how you mentioned that, NCT, a lot of noise, and that, it's very SM sound. Like for me, uh like it's just um yeah, I mean, I came into K-pop through SNSD, and then, through SM as well. And it's a very particular acquired taste. You know what I mean? It's like, you
Yeah.
either like it or you don't. It's like the same thing with Zimzelabim. It's like you either like it or you hate it.
Yeah, it can be really polarizing. And I think with NCT too, like they do have those typical like layered noisy songs, but they also have some really like great ballads. And I think sometimes people just associate them with that one type of song, but I think their discography is really great and diverse.
Right now, I mean, the question has to be asked: do you think SM will ever debut a new boy group, or are they just gonna funnel everyone into NCT?
You know, I have no idea. I was wondering about that, especially after the NCT Hollywood thing. Um, I mean, I'm kind of torn about that because I do like the idea of like having new members. but it's kind of like at what point do you stop and focus on the members that you have now? I even think back to like 2018, if there are any N citizens in here, you guys kind of know what happened with Ten and Kun, where they were kind of just waiting for 2 years until Wavy was formed. And then now it's kind of like we see history repeating itself with Shotaro and Songchan, the newest members. They're still not in a fixed unit. So I think the concept of introducing new members is okay, but not if they're gonna kind of just keep them waiting on the back burner. Because if that's what SM is gonna do, I would prefer them to just create a new group and just focus on NCT and the new group separately. But that's just my take on the whole thing.
Right, for sure. I mean, like I have no idea, how this company is going to manage that, but we'll see. I think it's interesting kind of development, right? I mean, like,
Hmm.
SM is kind of unpredictable at times, but
Yes, definitely.
it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, like, I think, we covered a lot about kind of our origin stories, and then how we got into, some of our favorite artists and things like that. And we think about, a lot of, obviously there are a lot of K-pop fans out there, but then, obviously there's now a growing class of people, of K-pop fans who are, well, being content creators, right? And so you chose the YouTube path, and so I'd love to learn more about that. Why create content, K-pop content specifically on YouTube. What was the motivation for that?
Yeah, sure. So I think like a lot of people, I just grew up like watching YouTubers and just liking YouTube as a platform, not necessarily just K-pop, but just YouTube content creators in general. And I always like thought like when I was younger, I was like, I feel like I could do that, but I guess I just never took the leap. I was kind of like, oh, would anyone want to actually listen to me or like watch
Yeah,
me? I think
yeah.
I think as humans, we all kind of doubt ourselves a little bit, but I don't even know exactly what the turning point was, but at one point I was just like, okay, I want to start a channel. I want to make it K-pop based. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do a K-pop channel was, obviously I'm a K-pop fan and I have been for a while, but when I was growing up in second gen, like I only knew like maybe a handful of people that were into K-pop. It was still like a very niche interest, if that makes sense. Like if you said you liked K-pop, people would like kind of side eye you, like, why do you listen to that? And I know it still happens now, but I think now it's a little bit more normalized. So I kind of just wanted to create a platform where I could just talk about a genre that I really liked and hopefully, connect with other people that have the same interests as well. So I just decided to do it. I started off like doing reactions, which were fun, but after that, I kind of like after doing reactions for a little bit, I kind of realized that I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to talk about like serious issues or just like issues in general in K-pop and just create a discussion because I feel like sometimes in the K-pop fandom, having discussions about certain things can be really difficult or like really polarizing. So I kind of just wanted to create a safe space for that to happen. And that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Wow, incredible. I think your pivot from reactions to, well, video essays, that's kind of how I would see it, right? Is or just being able to have, like you were saying, a forum or a platform for open discussion, right? Without, say, any, or hopefully without any, kind of adverse, just negative, I mean, reaction, because a lot of people can be very passionate about
Yeah.
sometimes, and I mean, sometimes that can get really lost in the discourse when people start yelling at each other. It's just it's interesting for sure. But just having that platform, I think, is important, and it's also valid just just to talk about things, right? In a way that we set aside a lot of the emotion out of it, and just be able to, lay down the facts and just, I mean, express like our opinions on the matter, right? It doesn't even matter like if you're a fan, not a fan. I mean, like, the point is just to be as objective as possible a lot of times. And I know it sometimes can be really hard, like especially if, you're a fan of that person, or or things like that. So I guess, how do you balance in terms of just dealing with that, or if say like anyone in the chat has any questions at this point, right? How about the YouTube process, or just the process of creating content? What is your I guess idea generation like? Do you take in like the latest news and then just comment on it, or um how do you create that never ending like loop of ideas for your channel?
Yeah, definitely. So sometimes I do like to do trending topics because I think with like certain topics like that that are trending or like really serious in the K-pop world, more people are willing to talk about it and engage. So sometimes, as far as like how I come up with ideas, even though I know Twitter can be a cesspool, I think we all know that. Sometimes I just see like what people are talking about on Twitter, what's trending. I also check like certain websites sometimes, like K-pop news websites, and sometimes my subscribers are just really great, and they kind of have an idea of the type of topics that I like to talk about, and they actually want to hear my opinion, and they want to talk to other people about like how they feel about it. So sometimes they'll just DM me and be like, "Hey Bree, did you see like this happened?" Or "Hey, did you read this?" Or "This idol got into this," or "They're doing this." So sometimes it's just someone DMing me, sometimes it's me, seeing something on Twitter. And if it's not like a trending topic, sometimes I just come up with ideas. Sometimes like I kind of have a list of certain things that I know I want to talk about. It's just I kind of have to decide how to schedule it. And then other times I'll actually let my subscribers kind of engage and take part in a video. So something that we did, for example, on my Discord server, which was really fun. I don't know if you've seen the Discord sings videos. Have you seen
Oh, yeah,
those?
I think I've like seen like one or two of those. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes it'll be something like that. Like I'll be like, "Hey guys, like, do you want to do a Discord sings video?" We did one, it was really fun. Or sometimes I'll just ask my subscribers, like, "Oh, I just did a video recently. What are your favorite girl group songs?" So I'll have them like submit their answers in a Google form and I'll just respond to their favorite songs. So it really depends. But yeah, usually my video essays come from trending topics or issues that are currently happening. Or it could be even like a series. I basically did a series on Kingdom, Mnet Kingdom, when that was
Mhm.
going on. That was a lot of fun. I'm doing one on Girls Planet 999 right now. So I kind of just try to follow what's going on in K-pop, and then I also sometimes have my subscribers point me in the right direction.
Nice. So I think it's a mix of just doing your own research, and then once you develop that audience, right, your audience will do a lot of that, I guess, legwork
Yeah.
for you in a lot of ways, right? Which can be really helpful, because when you have, I guess, your audience or your community inform you of just what you want to cover, then you're already catering to them, right, in a way, and so that will, I guess, reinforce that loop or that trust, right? You can, uh, keep it going, and things like that. So I think we have a few questions in the chat here. So okay, so I think Hims has a question about, yeah. So in terms of like preparing for a video, right? Do you have a prepared like script, or do you go off the cuff, or is it somewhere in between, like just having a few bullet points and then just talking about it? Like, what is the, I guess, process of creation, right? In that way.
Yeah, for sure. So usually I do have a script or at least bullet points, but it really does depend on the type of video, right? So just to give you an example, a while ago I did a video on how BTS didn't win a Grammy, or win the Grammy for, I forget what I think the nomination was best pop group or duo. They didn't win, and a lot of people were just talking about it and how, just the entire situation. So with a topic like that, I didn't really need a script because I had so much to say, and it was kind of like just speaking off the cuff, like you said. But usually, especially when it's a serious topic or it's a topic where there are a lot of details that I want to get right because it's like a serious topic, or I just don't want there to be any room for misinformation or anything like that. I definitely do write a script. I don't always go directly off of it, but I at least try to follow it just because sometimes if you don't have a script with certain topics, you start to ramble, and you know, usually people don't want to sit there and watch like a 20-minute long video, right? So I try to like just get straight to the point, and that's usually why writing a script is usually the best way to go. But like I said, I guess it kind of depends on what I'm talking about.
Right. I think, obviously if you have kind of more familiarity with a specific topic, right, then, you can maybe speak off the cuff more. Than if you're less familiar with the topic, then maybe you'll need to rely on a script more. I think especially with kind of the finer details for some things, right? If you want to
Hmm.
kind of provide background context or things like that. So Danny actually would like to know. So, obviously, for as a content creator, right? I'm also a content creator. In terms of podcasting and writing, did you ever have or come to a point where you feel just burnt out? And like, I don't want to do content today, or I don't want to film today, or I don't want to, just want to take a little break, right? Did you ever experience that kind of burnout? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so it actually happens quite often. And I think it's kind of something that's unavoidable. I don't really know where it comes from. I think sometimes as content creators, we just work really hard because we want to put out content. We want our content to be the greatest it can be. But I think sometimes we might overdo it or just not really
Hey,
listen to ourselves, if that makes sense. Listen to like what we need. So a lot of times when I just feel burnout, it might be like, oh, like you said, I don't feel like filming. I don't feel like doing this script right now, or I don't feel like editing. I just step away from it. I think the best thing is to just take some time if you're burnout, it's not a race, if that makes sense. It's more like a marathon. You kind of just have to pace yourself. So I think when I'm burnout, I just, like I said, I take a break and I come back when I feel better or I feel, ready to get back into it again. Because I think sometimes if you're burnout and you kind of force yourself to still, keep doing it, it can come across in your work too. And you don't want to give off the perception that you don't enjoy what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because you do, you're just tired. So I think the best thing is to just, like I said, just take a break and come back when you're feeling, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess refreshed, if that makes sense.
Right, or just better, or you feel like you're in the mood today, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Especially, like in videos, like it gets really obvious when people are, like they're creating for the sake of creating, and not they're maybe not truly enjoying what they're doing at the moment. That doesn't mean that they don't enjoy it. It's just they're just tired, right? So
right.
it gets, I know that feeling. It gets really hard in that sense. And so I think we have a very interesting title or question rather from Potato. I almost said potato. So I think this is in reference for one of your video or some of your videos. So how did you persuade Mama Bree to join your reaction video? The audience wants to know.
That Potato, I love you for that. So yeah, so my mom is a baby boomer, so she's in her 60s. Um, so she's always been exposed to, K-pop because, as I was growing up, I would play it around her in the car and stuff. And I would just kind of expose it to her as I was growing up. And, she's actually like really supportive of my YouTube channels. She watches my videos sometimes. Um, and I think so when I was still doing reactions a lot, I don't even remember how it came up. I think one time I was talking to her and either she suggested it or I did. I don't really remember which it was. And we were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was fun because she's familiar with like K-pop groups, but she doesn't really know the names. She kind of like mixes up like I'll be like, "Oh, mom, who's that?" It'll be Taemin, but she'll say Taeyong. Like, okay, not quite. But
Close enough.
yeah, so yeah, she really tries. But if it's like Kai or Johnny, she knows immediately. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, so one day we were like, okay, let's do it. And it was actually really fun. And people actually really liked it. I think our most popular reaction was probably the reactions to Kai's solo project. But yeah, she's really supportive, even though for her, K-pop is still like very different. She still appreciates the music. She appreciates the artistry. Like she thinks Taemin is great. She has Criminal on her iPhone. She loves that song. So yeah, it actually wasn't that difficult to get her on board because she's supportive of me and she kind of sees why I'm interested in it. So yeah, maybe we'll do another reaction soon. I don't know.
All right. I mean, leave in the chat. What do you think you should? What kind of reaction should they do next? Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's see.
definitely.
What do you suggest? Come on, chat. Discord. That's
Reaction
funny.
to
This
the
might be.
Discord
Yeah.
chaos.
Nice, nice. Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe some girls wanted 999. Maybe.
Oh yeah, like one of the performances or something.
Yeah.
That's a great
Or yeah.
idea.
Actually, I mean, like, what kind of performances do you have in mind? I guess if we want to do a little aside to Girls Planet 999, what do you think about that so far?
About the show?
Yeah, about the show or about performances or just in general, like the
Yeah.
yeah.
So I really like this show. To be honest at first, and I still kind of am a little overwhelmed just because there are so many contestants. But I think the show is great. I think that the trainees and the idols in the show are so talented. It's really interesting to watch. I think that this recent episode was my favorite so far. Um, I just I just really don't like the way Mnet does some things. I'm sure you guys have heard the term like evil editing.
As
I
we know.
wish they didn't yeah, I wish they didn't do that, and I know maybe some of it is scripted, but I actually felt really bad, for one of the contestants. I think her name is Zayn. I think she's like 15 or 16.
Oh yeah, on the Yes or Yes team, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just felt like the judges were like super hard on her, at least to me. Like, I get that it's a competition, but she's really young, and I just kind of felt bad for her. I was like, man. And I heard that like some people were saying that she's trying to sabotage her team. And I'm like, why would she do that? That's crazy? But I definitely love the show. I'm looking forward to next episode. I want to see the Avengers team perform the Eve because I really like a lot of the contestants in that team. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it'll be interesting to see what the final lineup will be. And I'm also wondering if it'll be a permanent group or if it's just going to be like a temporary thing, like Eyes One. So,
Yeah, well, we shall see because there are, I think, 10 episodes left or something like
hmm
that, or 9 episodes left. But I think last we heard was that it's going to be, they're going to get an Eyes One contract about 2.5 years. So it's not going to be permanent
um,
again.
okay,
Like, it's an Mnet group,
true.
right? I mean, the only permanent Mnet group I think we or, or came up with that survival show is from S9, to my knowledge.
Right.
Oh well. It is what it is. But yeah, I think for the audience, like any questions any burning questions you want to ask Bree, and I might pick yours. So we'll see. Any other questions before I go on? Love to get your participation. Any burning questions? You see people typing and typing. Okay, so Chingu says, Bree, have you read fan fiction?
Oh boy. It's funny because I think one time in my Discord server, someone, so I've heard about some like really weird ones, and I'm like, what? I don't know if I can say this, but someone someone mentioned like a crazy fan fiction where one of the members of NCT was like a cow or something. And I'm just like, what?
What?
Like, what? I mean, eh, how do you even come up with that? I have no idea. See, that's disturbing. I think some fan fiction is fine, right? But I think sometimes people go too far and it's like terrifying.
That's
You know what I mean?
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, my only experience with fan fiction was so I was on Wattpad one day. Just I don't know
Hmm.
why. I was just there, right? I was just kind of curious, and so I googled or I searched on there, K-pop fan fiction, and the first one, I clicked on it was just this so weird fan fiction of Rose and Lisa. I mean, I'm just gonna say it's just 19 plus. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Oh.
That disturbed me so much. I'm like, I'm done with fan fiction. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, people definitely let their imaginations run wild on Wattpad. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's wow, I think yeah, this chat is going crazy. That's funny. Cool. Let's see. I think oh, okay. So Sandwich has a question. Bree, how many K-pop concerts have you been to?
Oh, okay. So let me think. Okay, so when I was in college, I went to 2 p.m.
Ooh, nice,
and
nice.
yeah, that was great. And then after that, oh, BTS Wings tour, that was incredible. I had floor seats, so I was like right in front of the extended stage, and literally I saw like multiple people pass out. Like that's how crazy it was. So 2 p.m. BTS, who else? Super M. I saw Super M in 2019.
Nice, nice.
Uh yeah, ITZY in 2020, I
Oh,
think.
right before everything shut down?
Yes. Yeah, it was crazy because it was in January, so that was like a few months before things got crazy. I actually had tickets for NCT 127 and the BTS Map of the Soul 7 tour, but we
Yep.
know that got canceled.
Yep.
I still have AT's tickets, but it says postponed, so I don't know if they'll
Okay, that means it's
eventually
not canceled,
reschedule.
so like I don't know what's going on, right? So
Yeah, because I'm just like, I mean, I totally get it. Like, COVID isn't getting anywhere, and everyone's safety is more important than going to a concert. But hopefully, things will, get back to normal. Have you been to any K-pop concerts?
yeah, sure. So I only got into it more recently because money issues. So yeah, so 2019 January or February, I don't remember which one was Red Velvet. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
And so
nice.
I'm from Toronto area here in Canada, right? So it was Wendy's homecoming, right, in a way. So
Oh,
that was pretty special actually. So like she invited all her like old high school friends, old like music teachers and people like that. And I mean her family's still here, right? Um so that was pretty cool. And then April was Blackpink. Yeah, I was in the floor area too, so that was like it was really close. That was
nice.
pretty cool. And
Hmm.
then right before lockdown was Eric Nam in February of 2020. That was pretty cool. Got to meet the guy, shake his hand. Yeah, I'm taller.
Wow,
That was the funniest thing I realized was that I'm actually taller than this guy. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So
that's funny.
yeah, um, yeah, that's the extent. And I had Giotto tickets for May of that year, and you know what happened. So and
I did
I mean
too.
now they lost
Yeah.
numbers. I'm like I can't see her ever again. Okay, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still so sad about that, to be honest. Like that whole situation is just uh, Cube, Cube, I have it out for you, I swear. Like,
Oh, I
the,
mean, like you came in during second gen. You know everything that Cube has ever done. Oh man, it's,
yeah, like I kind of know some things, because I wasn't following Cube like that much second gen, but I kind of remember what happened with 4 Minute because I used to really like them and like Hyuna too. Like Hyuna and Dawn, that was crazy how they just kicked
that
them
was
out like
insane.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, really, you're gonna kick out one of your best artists? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, even before that, when Beast tried to, well, when Beast left, right? They're like, hey, we don't want to be under Cube anymore. They're like, yeah, no, we're taking all the name, the songs,
Oh
everything. That's why
yeah,
they had to
yeah.
rebrand as Highlight, right? Yeah, that was
Right,
insane.
I do remember that. Yeah, because I used to kind of follow Beast too, and I remember one of the members had that thing with Hyuna Troublemaker, right?
Yeah, Hyunsun. Yeah, 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 that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know what's going on at Cube, but they need to get it together. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I mean, you just look at the history of their groups. Like, no, not one group has not been touched by their just incompetent management. I'm serious.
That is
I mean,
so true.
maybe B2B. I mean, Ilhun kind of did it to himself in a way, but I mean, that's
Hmm.
another story. Um,
Yeah.
CLC, I don't want to comment because it's done. Giotto lost
Yeah.
Sujin, and then their only intact group is Lightsome that only debuted like a couple months ago.
But it's so funny how like whenever stuff happens, they just introduce like a bright new shiny group, and it's like, what about the other groups you guys have?
I mean, if you think about it, that's the SM strategy as well.
True. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I guess you're right.
For sure.
All the companies should burn, I guess.
Uh, for sure. Yeah, I think wow, there's a lot of great I guess commentary on yeah, concerts. Like yeah, people like going to concerts and things like that. I don't know, we'll see. It's just COVID is just is crazy. But yeah, I guess any other questions from the chat that we could go or explore. I think we saw another earlier question on let's see. Oh man, yeah, so many comments on going to concerts. Okay, so another question by Hims. Are you satisfied with the direction NCT and the fandom is going?
Hmm. Um, Fandom. Well, I would say as far as the direction of NCT, I would say yes. Personally, I kind of like consistently like their music and their concepts, and like their albums. As far as the fandom, honestly don't really know how to answer that question. I know that I'm assuming the fandom is growing, but I don't really interact with the fandom a lot, like online and stuff. It's kind of just like through my Discord server or through my YouTube. So I really can't answer if I like the direction the fandom is going in, if that makes sense. Do you mean like how the fandom is growing or something specific about the fandom?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like I was just reading the question and I thought about that. It's like, yeah, they also apologize. It's like a generalized question, but I guess
I will
it
say,
depends. Yeah.
oh sorry, I will say like as far as the fandom, I do want to mention that I didn't really like um how some fans reacted to the NCT Hollywood thing.
Oh yeah, that was
And
crazy too. It's like, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I just and obviously it wasn't everybody because there were definitely some like and citizens that are just supportive of NCT, but there were a lot of people saying that they're not gonna support NCT Hollywood and just like just saying some like really negative things. And my whole thing is it's like, okay, like even if you don't like the idea of NCT Hollywood, NCT is still gonna be involved in it. Like it's already said and done. So there's no need to like be so negative about it, if that makes sense. And some people did have valid concerns, like the thing with, Shotaro and Songchan not having like a
like in
fixed
a
unit
like a
yet.
group. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. But some of the comments were just really ridiculous. And I was like, wow. That's unfortunate.
I mean, it does. I mean, SM is known to think outside the box in a lot of different ways. I mean, NCT Hollywood brings up the discussion of, do you even consider that as a K-pop group, right? If say the
Mhm.
members are not Asian, right? That's a huge
Yeah.
topic that always would. I mean, it's the same discussion that's brought up with you know uh, some other groups as well, right? So I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, what do you think about that? Like, is that should that be considered as K-pop, right? I mean, is K-pop just about the style of music or language, or like is it
Mhm.
do they have to be representative of where the genre started?
Yeah, so to me, I think what K-pop is like really multifaceted, right? So, um like I do think like personally, I think that a non-Asian person can be considered a K-pop idol, but I mean, like I don't even know how to like describe this. So, for me, like K-pop is kind of like complex. So, like there's the language, there's the training system, which I think is kind of like the most important because I think the K-pop training system is so different than any other like way of bringing up an artist, right? It's like very structured, you have to try really hard. It's kind of like dog eat dog. You might not make it and you have to kind of like be the best of the best. I think that's definitely part of it. And I also think like the visuals and the concepts and just like how things are presented in K-pop, like even down to the music videos, all of those points are like vastly different than some other genres of music. So I think if you have all of that, if you have the training system, if you're coming from a K-pop label, I guess I would consider it K-pop. I'm actually like wondering, as far as NCT Hollywood, that subunit, what the music will be like. Like I was kind of wondering, like I wonder if it'll be like Super M, where you have like maybe a couple songs that are in English, but the rest of the songs are Korean with maybe like some English kind of sprinkled in. Because I consider Super M K-pop, but then again, I know that all of the members are Asian and from already established K-pop groups. So yeah, I'm not sure if I really answered that question.
No, I know, I totally get it. It's complex. It's really hard to think about sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. It's more of a wait and see kind of approach, but
Mhm.
we'll see. Danny says One Direction, but NCT. I'm done.
I'm just crossing my fingers because I feel like NCT Hollywood will either go like really well or really badly.
Yeah,
So
that's right. It can
yeah.
go one of two ways. There's no middle here.
Right. It's very polarizing. So I guess we'll see what happens.
We shall see. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess thank you. Thank you, chat, for kind of contributing all those questions. We may get to some at the end, more at the end if we have time. But yeah, I'd love to kind of explore a little bit more about, I guess, your day to day as a say a YouTuber, right?
Mhm.
Yes, what are the kinds of best or worst things that you've experienced, and then I guess are you a full time content creator? Are you doing something else on the side? Like walk us through that.
Sure. Um, so first, as far as like, no, I'm not a full-time content creator. It's just something I do for fun. That's quickly taking more time than what it used to, like, as I'm growing. Um, but no, full time, I'm actually an IT project manager. I've been with my job that I'm at right now for about 6 years.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I'm doing that. Yeah, thanks. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, YouTube is just something that I do as a hobby when I have free time. But now, like, because I'm growing bigger, I try to do it more consistently. At least a few times a week. As far as the struggles, um, I would say, you know, anytime you're any type of like public, I don't know if public figure is the right word, but like an influencer or content creator, you always have a lot of eyes watching you, right? So um you're always like you'll always have like a lot of people that are like super supportive, and like you read their comments and they're like, oh, I loved your video, I loved like this about your content, and it's really great, it really motivates you to keep going. But then there are trolls. There are people that hate watch you, that will make like 10 different accounts. Like you can block every account, but they'll make another one just so they can leave another comment. um and then there are just, sometimes people, just disagree with you, and that's fine. But I think like as a content creator, you just have to learn how to deal with that and not really engage in some of the stuff that's just straight up like hate, I guess, and just focus on the positive and like also the constructive criticism too, because feedback is really important. Like you need to be open to that, like if you're a content creator and you want to improve and grow. um but yeah, as far as the struggles, yeah, that's definitely part of it. And also sometimes stan Twitter can be a scary place too.
Huh, huh,
So
huh.
yeah, like, if one of your videos gets circulated on Twitter, and there might be a few people that don't like you, that can be like a struggle. But yeah, I think overall my experience has been pretty positive. Like, of course there are going to be things here and there, but overall my experience has definitely been good.
I think that's good because you're able to cultivate kind of a a strong supportive community. I mean, we're seeing it here even right in this chat, right? I mean, like I think the meme culture over on your server is amazing. Like,
Oh yeah, I kind of created a monster with that because
like how did that start? Post more names,
yeah,
everyone.
I have a few people on my server, Maddie, Jay, and Wan Wan. They're all here, I think. Or I think Maddie's not here, but the other two. So they make memes all the time. So I was like, okay, let me just make a role for the meme lords. Well, little did I know that I was like opening a can of worms, but they're hilarious. I appreciate them and their memes. They're great.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. No, thank you for sharing those, those insights, and of course, shout out to the dank memers here. And so if we think about kind of your YouTube channel, of course, how we described it. Guess what are your thoughts on just the future of your YouTube channel? Like, where do you think you're going? Your channel is going. Like, if you thought about that.
Yeah, so that's like a really good question. Like, I honestly haven't really like thought about it long term. It's definitely interesting. Like I feel like recently I've been growing a lot faster. But I haven't really thought about like long term goals. I mean, of course I want to keep growing. Of course I want to keep improving my content, but I haven't really thought about that. I've seen like some channels that really just blow up, whether it's from reactions or whatever, and then you check in with them a few months later, and they're literally like interviewing idols or talking to people in the industry. I
Yes.
think that would really be cool, like as a very like high set goal. In the future, that would be great. But I know that's like really raising the bar, right? But for now, to be honest, I'm just happy where I'm at now, and I just want to keep going, and whatever happens happens, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a wait and see kind of approach, but I think it's a good one as well because I didn't you don't need to kind of expect everyone to have that kind of clear cut direction. I mean, even
Mhm.
with this server, right, K-City, I mean, we have some general goals that we want to hit, right? I mean, like, yes, we also want to have or interview people in this industry on the show, right? But as far as like we're just here to have a good time, grow together, keep in touch with K-pop, and well, and create a supportive community. I mean, what else,
Exactly.
can we say, right? I think that's pretty good. Yeah, these memes are going all over the place. But yeah, I mean, like I think if we take a bird's eye view, right, we step back and look at the K-pop industry as a whole, right? Where in your opinion, where do you think the K-pop industry is headed towards? Like, what is the next level? What is fifth generation, sixth generation, seventh generation of K-pop going to look like?
Hmm. Um, that's a really good question. I honestly like one thing I've noticed that's happening is how much it's growing in the West, which is like really alarming for me. Because when I first started getting into K-pop, it just wasn't as known here. I'm in the United States. I'm guessing like maybe
Yeah,
you said you're in Canada, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was super niche back then too. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like from looking at it now, like how quickly it's growing, like third gen and fourth gen too, like even like when I was coming up, the only people that would really come here for concerts were like the big groups like Big Bang and like maybe occasionally EXO. But so I think like that's really interesting and telling, because I think a lot of these companies, not just SM, even HYBE, they're really, like, trying to expand here, so I wonder, like, how that will shape the future generation. Like, we've even seen, like, Monsta X do an entire album in English, which was like, "Wow, okay, like, this is, like, really new." And then we have, like, other artists like BTS where they'll just release some songs that are completely in English, so I wonder if that will continue to be a thing in the upcoming generations. One thing that I would like to see happen, but, I don't know if it will. I wanna see more co-ed groups. Um,
Right.
I know it's, like, really I know that might be, uh, not a, realistic outcome maybe, but I would really like to see more groups like KARD and, Checkmate because I think it's, like, really interesting. I would like to see more collaborations, and I'm not necessarily talking about, like, K-pop groups, collaborating with Western artists, but, like, collaborations within K-pop. I would really like to see that because I know, like, in 2nd gen, that was kind of a thing, but now not so much anymore. So I would like to see it move in that direction.
Right. Or just more just you know, collaborations in general. I think that would be really
Yeah.
it's just fun. I
Yeah,
don't know.
like, can you imagine? Like, even, like, cross-label collaborations, I think would be really cool.
Like instead of just the one performance at that year-end show or whatever, right? Like just have the
Yeah.
whole song. Yeah.
Yeah, and we kinda do see it, like,
I
I
mean, yeah,
can just
sensation, that's true. Yeah.
yeah, and then even, like Taeyong, for example, he has his own SoundCloud, and he actually did a song with Seulgi, which was really great. So I think a lot of them, they want to do it. They also a lot of idols, I think they really wanna kind of, like, make their own music too. So
Right. Yeah, I want to
maybe
contribute more to the production process because the one of the gripes
yeah,
that a lot of people always had is like, oh, it's just it's fully manufactured, blah blah blah. But we're seeing like now, like especially like just a lot of artists getting into K-pop, like they want to produce their own stuff, right? We see,
yeah,
I mean, BTS obviously, and then you have Stray Kids, they produce their own stuff, and then
mhm,
17 as well, right? You have these, and then I mean, Soyeon does her stuff with Giotto, like et cetera, right? So we're
right.
just seeing a lot of more just that rise of self-produced groups, right, in a lot of different ways. I think uh,
Mm.
I think just seeing more of that, especially from girl groups, would be really helpful as well.
I definitely agree. I think self-producing groups are awesome, and you really I feel like when a lot of times when it's self-produced, you really get to know the artist more, and it just feels more authentic, and, I appreciate that, so it'd be great to see more of that too.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think this has been such a great interview. Just diving into kind of your experience, your background, and your experiences and your opinions. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming over to our little. I say little kind of half jokingly because we're almost at 1,000 now, but yeah, I mean, any last messages or any last piece of advice or any last message you want to share to kind of your community, our community, all K-pop fans out there, because this is going to go on Spotify, other places as a podcast as well. So yeah, any last thoughts on anything you want to share?
Um, I guess as far as you know, being a K-pop fan, keep going. Stay away from some of the negativity, like just focus on the music and the artists and the community and just have fun. I guess that's what I would say. And thanks so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Fun
for
discussion.
perfect, fantastic. And for anyone out there who's maybe not that familiar with your work, and things like that. So, where can people find you? And kind of, obviously you have a YouTube channel, as we already said, and then of course, you have your Discord server. But yeah, where else can people follow you and your stuff?
Sure. So yeah, my YouTube channel, definitely check me out there. Also, you can join my server. It's been a lot of fun. I think we have around almost 600 members or around there. And I think we just started about a month ago. So we're
Oh,
growing pretty
nice. Okay,
quickly.
nice.
Yeah, we're pretty active too. So definitely check out our server. We have like, general discussions. We kind of talk about my videos sometimes, but really it's kind of anything goes. Um, so I'm probably most active on Discord besides YouTube. You can also follow my Twitter if you want, but I'm not on there too much. But my handle is Bree, Brix, and then Elizabeth with a Z. So you can follow me there too.
Nice, great.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. And think any yeah, any last questions from the chat? If not, I think we'll wrap this up. So, but no, thank you for everyone who's still around listening as well. We still have like 30 something odd people still here. So, thank you
Awesome.
very much for coming. And yeah, I mean, that's it for episode 2. Hope everyone has enjoyed Preem Radio. We will actually be back for episode 3 very soon. And if people are interested actually in, you know, participating in Jeopardy night, we're having that right after this episode. So let us know. But, chat, let's say we give a warm round of applause to Bree. And thank you for having our being here.
Thank
Yay.
you. I appreciate it. Oh.
Yay, look at these applauses. Nice, nice. Oh, somebody clapped.